So I do think one good lesson that you can take away from the ranching lifestyle is you train yourself to just control the things you can control and not worry about the rest of it. And so what are the things we can control? We control our work ethic. I'm a big Gary Vee guy. He's always talking about how work is the most controllable variable for all of us. He says you're only so talented, you're only so good looking, you're only so whatever, but the thing that you can do to differentiate yourself from the field is your work and your work ethic. I think that's so true regardless of field. So you control your attitude, control your work ethic, the weather, the market, those things. Train yourself not to worry. So I do think that that's one good lesson that I've taken away from our lifestyle.
What's up and welcome back to Boost Podcast. We are so excited you are here. Don't forget to leave a comment down below, like, subscribe. We are everywhere: YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify.
We're out there.
We are out here, and we are here to bring an incredible episode today.
Come on.
Hey,
let's go.
There go the Red Bulls. As always, so we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Do you think that your phone listens to you?
Honestly, does your phone listen to you? My thing is, who's listening to my phone? You know what I'm saying? Because my phone's probably listening to me because I talk into it. That doesn't surprise me, but I'm wondering who's listening to that thing.
I 100% believe my phone is listening to me.
In what way? In what way?
Dude, so many times. I tell you, so like just a couple months ago, I was trying to prove it to my friends. I was like, I'm going to say Iams dog food for 2 weeks straight, every day. Iams dog food. Well, it never popped up. And I had one conversation at church with a buddy of mine about these certain shoes. Never heard about these shoes in my life. They popped up on my Instagram feed that night while I was in bed.
You can't make that up.
You can't make it up.
So you're an advocate for this.
Oh, dude, it
what about
happens.
you?
No, I 100% believe it. I went, even to prove it further, I went backpacking in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, okay? No cell phone service. And my buddies were talking to me about a certain TV show, and I kid you not, when I got back home, Facebook, there was ads for it. What did I do? I went and watched it. It works, okay?
Golly.
I gave in.
I didn't buy the shoes.
I'll be honest with you.
I don't know how I feel because I feel like I feel like it's a little out there for who's going to sit around and listen to your phone
You can't tell me that's a coincidence, man.
Would that not be I read a deal that said that it's just too expensive. For companies to do that, I mean, in a way they already know what we're thinking.
100%.
Kind of what we want.
Well,
and all
people
that
pay for advertising that's a shot in the dark. I'd pay to get a home run. Yeah. I mean, you're like, hey, come buy this, blah, 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 just broadcasting it to the masses. Or you can pay to get some information where it's okay, this person's searching this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's not the thing. It's the talking. These people are talking about it.
Yeah, it's getting wild out
anyway,
there, guys.
Enough said.
It's getting wild
enough
out there,
said.
guys.
We have an incredible episode today. We are going to be talking about positivity.
So pumped.
We are titling it "Don't Worry, Be Happy."
Heck, and guys, honestly, are our phones? Is anybody listening to our phones? I don't know, but I'm going to introduce you to a guy that we should all be listening to.
Yes.
Okay?
I am ready.
This guy right here, all right, he's a super puncher himself, all right? His initials are MCM, so he literally, America, is everyone's Man Crush Monday.
Yes.
All right? He's been known to manhandle a 600-pound bull calf with his bare hands. He literally grabs life by the horns. You can typically find him horseback or on a bench press, okay? So please, everyone, help me welcome the notorious Miles Mckinley.
Yes. Miles.
So good to see you.
Dude, you gave him Conor McGregor's nickname. That's big.
Fellas, I promise I did not pay Curtis to say any of that. I didn't
Just
even
came
know.
out, boys. It just came out.
It's 100%
So-
true.
You can't hold the truth back.
Bro, you are literally everyone's Man Crush Monday.
Oh,
in
my
a way,
goodness.
dude. I must say you are a good looking fella, man. You have
guys are
got
too
it going
kind,
on. You
fellas.
work out, man. I go to the gym. We go to the same place, and I'm quite jealous.
Oh, gosh.
We worked out the other day, bro. You freaking killed me. I'm still sore, and that was last Tuesday.
Gosh.
That was almost a week ago.
You guys are too kind. They're hyping me up right now. Don't believe all their kind words. And
man.
those of you tuning in via YouTube, you can see how good these fellas look. listen. If you're tuning in via Spotify or Apple Music or one of the many ways they have available for you to listen to,
God, these
you don't
guys
know.
are naturals.
You don't know. I'm just saying though, these guys are looking fly. They and you know what
Right back
Deion
at
Sanders
ya.
said? He said, "You look good, you feel good. You feel
That's
good,
right.
you play good. You play good, they pay good." These guys are embracing. They're ready.
Shout out Deion Sanders.
Shout out to
So
prime time.
Best
much
quarterback
wisdom.
of all time. Come on the show.
Come on the show.
But dude, I love this right here. Just like this is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. We brought Miles on to talk about positivity. And look at this guy. He comes on just exuding it. And honestly, on a serious note, this guy, you can always catch him with a smile on his face. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's a huge ball of energy. Like I said before, he's an old school cowboy. Amen. And he is literally one of the most positive people that I've met. And I just couldn't think of anyone better for us to bring on. So
Let's
Miles,
give it up. Let's give it up one more
thank you,
time.
seriously. Thanks for
Miles
coming on.
McKinley.
Thanks, guys.
He's in
Appreciate
the house.
you.
He's in the studio.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm pumped. Pumped to be here.
I just have one question. Where does the energy come from? Where do you get? Is it that thing right there?
Bang Energy is not an official sponsor of the show, by the way. So.
But he's available, Bane. Energy.
Yeah.
He's available.
Holler at me. Slide into the DMs. No, I'm super pumped to be here, fellas. Again, appreciate the invite. The studio, I'm blown away. Like, seeing pictures of it doesn't do it justice. I think the audience maybe is aware, but this is actually Caden David's bedroom, and you would not know it. This looks like a legit studio.
Well, thank you.
I feel like I'm in New York about to record an interview, for Z100. So
well, that's what we were going for. So, Miles, I just kind of want to introduce you a little bit to the audience. We've talked a lot about it, but I want to give them a real life experience of something that I witnessed that I'm like, man, if someone asked me, tell me about Miles, I'm probably going to mention this story. Yeah. So, it's about a Snapchat story that I saw of you, and it has to do with going through the Brahms drive-thru. Do you remember this?
I do. I recall this one.
Best place to get milkshakes on the planet.
Best place to get anything, dude. Brahms is the move.
I'm out on the fries.
Oh.
There's better fries.
We're still going to be friends, Jet. It's fine.
Keep going.
So for those of you not in the Midwest, Brahms is just a fast food restaurant, burgers, shakes, fries. It's great.
Chicken strips. What are you talking about? Go ahead. Yeah.
Double brownie fudge sundae. Let's go.
Let's go.
Anyways, Miles, can you kind of fill us in on like what I'm talking about here and just kind of let the audience know? Just take it away, man. Just kind of tell us what happened and kind of what you thought about the situation, honestly.
100%. So I've been told that I talk with quite a bit of energy anyways, and sometimes a little more fire than we need. So I think I'm that way a little bit naturally anyway. But I've had my order messed up a time or two, not at Brahms specifically. Brahms, if you're listening in, I love you.
Come on the show.
Come
on the show, Brahms.
Yeah, please. But there's been, a fast food place or two, get my order a little mixed up from time to time. No harm, no foul. But every time I go through now, I try to be really concise. I try to speak clearly, loudly. I want to leave no possibility that they can mess this up.
Because the last thing you want is for, mayonnaise to be, or whatever, ketchup to be put on your burger when you wanted mayonnaise. Like, dude, there's no worse feeling.
Well, and the worst is whenever you don't check at your bag, and so you get all the way home, and you're like, no. So, first world probs, right? But anyway, so long story short, I'm always trying to really, really let them know. So, and I was being certainly friendly, but I'm saying, I need a number 2. No onion.
That's
with
the double
cheese.
cheeseburger.
Let's make it a medium. It is the double cheeseburger.
I don't know how I knew that.
You know. That's the go-to. Let's make it a medium. I'll have a Dr. Pepper. But anyway, I was speaking loudly and very concisely, and I get about halfway through ordering, and the guy's like, bro, he's like, you ain't got to talk so loud. He's like, these mics work pretty well.
I think
I'm like, I'm sorry, man.
I think the phrase you used, you were like on Snapchat, you're like, I was just ordering with a lot of fire, with a lot of energy and a lot of passion, and they just came on there like, dude,
I'm passionate about fast food.
That's right. You're passionate about everything.
Everything you do, man. I think he was having a rough day. He didn't sound so hot, and so I said, that's my bad, man. I'll tone it down.
So, you're all about positivity. We know that. You've got energy. Is this just something that, did you pick it up somewhere? Did you learn it from something? Or is it just kind of like who you are, Miles McKinley? Like what? What do you think?
Right. I think it's a bit of both, to be honest with you. I definitely am naturally a high energy guy, pretty positive in general, and I've been very fortunate too. Came up around a lot of strong family members. Both of my parents are great, uncle, aunts, right on down the line. And so I've been around people that were very, very positive from the time I was a kid. And so some of it I think has been learned. And as I've gotten a little bit older, it's something that I've definitely tried to make part of my day-to-day. I read a few books on the subject, and I read that book, The Secret, a few years ago. And
Okay.
I don't 100% agree with everything that's in the book, but there's parts of it that I 100% agree with. But one thing that it talked about a little bit that really stuck with me is it talked about how sometimes whenever you have one of those days where you get up and on your way to the coffee pot, you stub your toe, and man, it makes you mad. And then,
Which is the worst.
Oh, 100%. And then, but it's, next thing you know, you're on your way out the door and spill coffee on your shirt, and you got to change, and then you're late to work, and one thing leads to another, and before you know it, you've had this less than ideal day, which was super relatable to me. And then by the same token, it talked about there's other days where, man, everything's going smooth, everything seems great.
Yeah.
You can't hardly mess it up. You just have a super day. And so what it was talking about is that it's not any coincidence when those things happen. Mm-hmm. And so whenever you catch yourself in kind of a bad vibe or in a bad mood right out the gate, if you can find a way to adjust your focus and bring it back to a positive outlook, it's funny how it seems that from then on you attract more of those situations throughout your day.
Wow, that's really good.
So what you're getting at is like positivity as a choice.
I think it is. And like I said, some people are more naturally positive than other people.
Right.
And the other thing is everybody has their own stuff going on behind the scenes, right?
Right.
And so you never know what somebody's going through. However, I do think that whatever you are going through, if you can try to refocus, and we all have our moments where and I certainly do too, 100%. And Curtis brought up something a couple of episodes ago that I thought was super fire, but he was saying like, we don't have all this stuff figured out, right? Like we're not trying to tell anybody in the audience that we've hacked positivity or any of this other stuff. We're 20-something-year-old dudes figuring it out as we go. Yeah. And so we're all on the journey together. But I think that whenever you catch yourself and you are, kind of down in the dumps and being negative about everything, if you can kind of just find a way, and for some people that's through music, whatever it is, find a way to kind of bring yourself back to center.
Right.
I really, really do think that that's a more productive way, whether there's something going on behind the scenes in your life or if you're just having one of those days.
Yeah. What are those things for you? Like, what are the things, like, if you're trying to have that positive day, what is that thing for you? Like,
right.
This is me. Yeah.
Right. Oh, it's caffeine for sure, bro.
Wow. No way? For real?
No. It's
That's
not.
a secret to life.
Shout out to caffeine, though. Love it. No. Honestly, for me, it's music, man.
Really? Okay.
And so, and 100%, I just catch myself once in a while, and I'm in one of those moods, and everything. And it's funny when you're feeling like that, like everything starts to have a negative slant, and you just aren't seeing things proper. Yeah. And so, but music to me is so powerful, and I'm a big music guy anyway. So usually if I catch myself like that, what I try to do is go straight to Spotify, put on some jams that I like that kind of bring me back. And so that's the move for me for sure.
Who do you listen to?
Oh my gosh, my musical library is all over the place. It really is. I love like super old country music, classic rock, but I like newer pop music too. Yes. Not crazy about new country, to be honest with you. But
what about Dan and Shay?
Dan and Shay's pretty decent.
Okay.
I've only listened to them on the radio, but
right.
They're pretty good.
They're talented.
I like some 90s rap. We're not gonna rap any Tupac for you folks today, but maybe in a future episode.
Dang, I was literally gonna ask you to like sing us something. So you're a music guy. I want to hear something from.
I'm Dre from back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm done.
No, honestly though, on his Snapchat stories, this guy can quote a whole movie scene and do all the characters.
Wow.
It's incredible.
I gotta see that sometime.
I have witnessed this firsthand. It's pretty incredible. I
have not. I gotta see it.
I must say. So do you? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you think? Not do you think, but in what ways has choosing positivity? We just talked about it's a choice,
right? In
a way,
right?
In what ways have you seen that it has made a difference in your life, like on a daily basis?
Right. I think it's big, and I think obviously that those decisions are a lot tougher when you're going through something in your life that's super stressful. And I know for me, in the fairly recent past, I've had some things going on behind the scenes that I've come out of now, thankfully, but that had me stressed out, had me freaked out, a little bit scared, these things that you go through. Then everybody has their stuff going on behind the scenes. And so to me, though, I think, first of all, at first thing in the morning, I love to pray about it, take it to the good Lord. And it's funny, and it's probably not by any accident that we're discussing this now, but where these fellows all work and where I go to church at The Edge in Clinton, Oklahoma, for all you Western Oklahoma folks, but we're a network church of Life Church, and Pastor Craig Groeschel, who's the lead pastor at Life Church, has been doing an entire series. We're on episode 2 this week, but called Anxious for Nothing. Mm-hmm. And man alive, it's been fire. So definitely check that out. But I thought one of the things he talked about last week that was so fire is he talked about how so often these things that we're worried about don't come to fruition, or if they do, that it's not nearly as bad as it was in our mind's eye, which has definitely been the case for me a few times. Or he talked about a third scenario where it does happen and it is every bit as bad as you thought it would be, but you still get through it and you come through it all right. So I think for me personally, when I've been in, and I've had a smooth life, I have a lot to be thankful for. I haven't had a ton of situations like that, but what I learned from a couple of these situations a little bit more recently is that when that is going on, I think it's important to start the day with prayer, take it to the Lord, and then from then on, try right out the gate, first thing in the morning, to say, I'm going to look at today positive. I'm going to keep a smile on my face, find things to be thankful for. I'm a big believer in the power of our words too, and so even in those situations, I try not, man.
Preach.
Let's go.
And
This is now the Miles Mckinley podcast.
No,
He's killing it.
not at all. But I try not to speak negatively when I am in a little bit of a funk like that.
Yeah.
And so if somebody asks, how's things going? I've never been a guy that wants to go, well, actually pretty crappy, da-da-da-da-da. I say, things are great. And they are, if you have a little bit of perspective. For me in my life, our great-great-grandparents are the ones that maybe had it tough. Like, for me in my life, if I have something that's going a little bit rocky, like in the grand scheme, it's still good. And so I try to only speak positively. Probably where I could use a little work, honestly, is obviously it is. I think sometimes whenever you're going through something like that, you need to go to a friend and just tell them what's going on behind the scenes privately. I think that can be super helpful. And honestly, that's not something that comes naturally to me. I'm much more inclined to put my head down and not talk about it. And so I think that's something that I'm going to try to work on personally whenever there is something going on. Man, when you're in a situation like that too, you really realize how thankful you are for your friends. Even if they don't know what's going on, just being around, the homies and the people that really love you, man, it can give you a big lift. But anyway, when those situations arise for me personally, I try to remind myself as well that whatever this is going through, whatever's going on, it's going to end. Like, it's not permanent.
Yeah.
And so I said to myself, I'm going to stay busy. I'm going to pour myself into my work, into my workouts, whatever your hobbies are.
Yeah.
I'm going to fall into bed at night. And when enough days have gone by, this is going to be over. And I'm going to have a whole new perspective.
Wow.
That's
For me personally.
Do you think the
Personally.
positivity can ever get in the way of what you said earlier about my life's great, even
Right.
though sometimes it could be rocky and not good.
Sure.
When is the right time for someone to ask you that, for you to just be real and let the positivity go to the side and say, yeah, I am struggling.
Right.
When is that?
That's a good question.
That's a great thought. And like I said, I don't think that that's a strong point I have, but it's something that, and we were talking about this, that I was thinking that I need to work on in my own life. And so I think probably as far as small talk goes, if I'm talking to somebody in Walmart, if the cashier asks, how's your day going? My day's going great. Whenever people that you're just interacting with. And I've always had a goal to be a guy that any interaction I have, whether it's with a friend or a family member, or if it's somebody at the store, I want it to be something that gives them a little bit of a boost, a little bit of, no pun intended. Shout out to
Literally looked up and
that was
goes,
a happy accident. Shout out to Boost Podcast for having me. And it's ironic that there's a rocket as y'all symbol because this thing's going straight to the top. I can just tell.
we're going to the moon.
But back to the point, so I think that's a good strategy, at least for me, is I'm not going to get down in the dumps telling people, well, I'm actually having a crappy day. Thanks for asking. But whenever you're having a more intimate moment, having lunch with a friend or a family member or something, I think that's probably a time where,
That's great. Yeah.
man, and what do we hear at The Edge pretty regularly? Life's better together. And it really is. Sometimes these struggles, whenever you're just thinking about them in your head, it's so much worse. And sometimes just saying them aloud to somebody you're close to, I think it just makes you feel better. And you're like, well, actually, that's going to be all right.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Find your circle, man. Find your circle.
I think
Find
that's
the people
huge.
who you love to be around and who are going to push you to be the best that you can be, and who I've found who are going to be there for you in those low moments as well as the high moments. Because, I mean, I don't think we're intended to do life on our own, truly. And that's been a huge staple in my life because I'm a huge extrovert and peaceful person.
Yeah, you are.
I don't know how to be by myself.
Right. Right.
For sure, man. I totally agree with that. We've talked on some previous podcasts about the importance of having good friends and choosing that circle. And Miles, first of all, I just want to say thank you for coming on this show and just being vulnerable, just kind of opening up to us about some experiences in your life. I think those are key to you were analyzing those and saying okay, this is going on. Why is this happening? And just kind of working through those. And now you're on the other side and you've seen the power of just mentally choosing to not look at the negative aspects. I just thought that was a really neat kind of takeaway from what you were saying. So now that we've kind of introed you on your positivity and your thoughts on that, I kind of want to touch on something that I personally think is really neat, just the cowboy Miles, man.
I'm actually really interested in this too.
Miles shared with me that he grew up for a little bit of his life in New Mexico, and I ran into one of Miles's family friends the other day, and he informed me that Miles's parents had to carry water in, and it was old school ranching. And just kind of tell us, dude. Yeah, just tell us about growing up. He mentioned he used to go down into Mexico on the regular before it was too wild. So can you just kind of give us a little glimpse into that and just like maybe tell us like the most ranching story about yourself that you've got, all right? You know?
Absolutely. So I moved to Oklahoma when I was a 7th grader.
Okay.
And so prior to that, I grew up in New Mexico, and my family ranches and has from the time I was a kid. And so at this stage of my life, I run and operate my own cow-calf business, and I still help run my family business as well, which is also cow-calf. But long story short, I went to school at Oklahoma State for 4 years, but aside from that,
Go Pokes.
Go Pokes, by the way. That's right.
We do
Stilly
not.
Knights.
We do not confirm or deny that because I don't like OU. I'm not a big fan of OSU either. Like we're not advocates for anybody here. Okay,
We're not getting into this.
yeah, we're not doing that.
This is a non-affiliated podcast,
Non-affiliated.
university-wise.
Guys, man.
I love that you guys love the Cowboys, but there's going to be listeners that might have just turned it off because you said, no, I'm just kidding.
We accept listeners from all universities. But aside from that particular time, and even then I was back a little bit, but other than that, I've been around the ranching lifestyle from the time I was a really little kid. And yeah, where we grew up in New Mexico was Wild West. We were a long ways from town. The water out there was gyp water, so it wasn't any good. It eventually would ruin your clothes just through the washing machine and stuff. That, not right away, but you had to replace clothes a lot more regularly than I have to now. Just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And so that's the way I grew up, but we didn't know any different. And so we'd go to town from time to time and get groceries, and we'd buy drinking water in 5-gallon jugs and bring it back, and haul it. And so, but it was just, we didn't know any different, and that was the way it was. So when I moved to Oklahoma in 7th grade, that's the first time I went to school. I was homeschooled when I lived in New Mexico. Loved going to school, so got here in 7th grade, like I said. And here it's still very ranchy, but here you're a lot closer to town. The pasture sizes are a lot smaller. New Mexico is super, super dry, and so it's big country. It takes a lot of country to run a cow out there, so it's a little bit more domestic here, I suppose.
Yeah,
it was
so
it was Wild
being
West.
positive, going back to our topic, was, you had to be in the, it sounds like, I am, that whole lifestyle is very foreign to me.
Right.
So being positive about doing all that, it's a lot of work. It sounds like just carrying those drugs, or not, sorry.
You're good, dude. Jugs. He meant jugs. I understand.
I meant jugs.
We carried no drugs.
Jugs. Oh gosh.
No,
good
jugs.
night.
You're good.
Okay. Just carrying those jugs and doing all that.
Yeah.
How did positivity play into that whole aspect of
That's
things?
a super good question. You know what? It is hard work, but I also think that everybody's work is hard work, right? Whatever you do for a living, like, you got to work hard to get ahead, and that's the way it is, whether that's, working outside in a ranch-type environment, or if you're, whatever kind of a job you have, hard work is the differentiator. And so, but what I will say, I think there are some good lessons from the ranching lifestyle, is that you have to train yourself not to worry about certain things, like, man, in Oklahoma, this crazy weather we've had lately, there's certain things that are going to mess up, if you're in the cattle business, there's too much rain, or if you have a drought, or if there's, a crazy
Right.
storm that, ruins a bunch of grass or something like that. And then there's, there's upswings in the market like there are any other market. So I do think one good lesson that you can take away from the ranching lifestyle is you train yourself to just control the things you can control and not worry about the rest of it. And so what are the things we can control? We control our work ethic. I'm a big Gary Vee guy. He's always talking about how work is the most controllable variable for all of us. He says you're only so talented, you're only so good looking, you're only so whatever, but the thing that you can do to differentiate yourself from the field is your work and your work ethic. I think that's so true,
That's really
regardless of field. And so you control your attitude, control your work ethic, the weather, the market, those things. You train yourself not to worry. So I do think that that's one good lesson that I've taken away from the
It
lifestyle.
sounds like cows are a big part of ranching. Is that right?
That's correct.
I've done it one time. It was with that guy right there.
Dude,
I
Jared
was
did
out
well.
there.
Jared did well.
I was
We were
out there
pairing up heifers,
going
and he
crazy.
did well.
And I just had this incredible moment there, right? There was this.
I have to hear the story.
There was this heifer, as some would say. That I learned that
You
means
got the lingo. You got the lingo.
I believe that means mom for the first time.
Heifer is a
First mama.
female bovine that has not had a calf yet.
Until
And then when it has its first, they call it a first calf heifer.
okay.
And then
So
when it's
this
second, it's
first-
a cow.
Okay, first calf
Correct.
heifer. Dude, looked crazy, man. I'm telling you. It looked like it had a mask on. And so I was
the
like,
craziest look in her
I
eyes.
was like,
It
that-
was
I was
a
like,
black baldy.
Okay, I
and
got
so
you.
I said,
got you.
that's the Joker. Like I just named it. That's the Joker.
I dubbed
Then,
thee.
I kid you not, this calf runs up. I'm like, dude, I think he got a goat in this. Like, this is a goat. This is not a cow. And this is the second time this has happened to me. I went to the hydro fair, and they were like air blow drying these cows, and I'm like, what? I literally was like, what is that? Like, I could not even tell what kind of animal it was. And they're like, that's a cow, and I just felt like
Get
an
out of
idiot.
here.
So the goat, it was a cow, it was a calf, and so I just named it the goat. So I just want to know, is it wrong to name cows?
It's not wrong. It's absolutely, I think it's a good thing.
Yes.
My family has one cow that's we raised from. She was what we call a dogie, which is an orphan calf, for those of you that aren't around the ranch lifestyle. But anyway, my grandma had it initially, and so she was dog gentle from the time she was real little, but just the most gentle thing you've ever seen. So they started feeding it people food, and then it made the move to Oklahoma with us.
Like what?
So my kid's sister, for example, fell in love with this
This
calf.
is great stuff.
Dude, I love this.
My kid's sister would go out during the wintertime and stuff, and this calf would be in the barn, and she'd take peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, like legit, anything she could find, and this cow is just completely gentle, would eat it, loved it.
Oh
So long story short,
Wow.
she's still around now. She's getting old, but she's gentle as can be. You can't even drive her anywhere. People come, and they have their little kids take pictures on her and stuff. Her name is Tallulah Bell, which is a name bestowed upon her from my grandma. If you knew my grandma, you'd know that those sort of names were common. But anyway, so that's one. I have one of my personal herd I call Grandma that I've had for years and years and
Grandma.
years. Super crippled, so I'm pro naming cows, by the way.
Dude, well, here's why I bring this up. Is because Curtis, my friend, has sold one of the cows now.
Yeah.
Which one?
It's upsetting.
The Joker.
The Joker got sold yesterday.
Yeah, and so the baby's just chilling.
She's gone to greener pastures.
I don't think the goat was her baby though.
She made me quite a bit of money.
Really?
Yeah, she did
That's
well.
probably because she had an
did-
incredible name.
She did well for herself. She showed off a little bit in the sale ring, I think.
Yeah,
Flaunted her
nice.
stuff.
Little
if you know what I'm
personality.
saying. Yeah.
I
At
just
the end
thought
of the day,
that'd be
it's a
fun.
business. What are you going to do?
I thought that'd be fun, and I also think this will be fun. You're a positive guy.
Thank you.
But
Thank
there's
you.
also so many times that we fail in life, we mess up, we do funny things, we slip, we fall.
Same.
So we're going to do a little thing called YouTube Fails.
Let's go.
And I'm going to show you a few YouTube clips, and you will tell me, you have to find the positivity within the fail. Does that
Perfect.
sound good?
Perfect.
Yes.
Side note, I have not seen these, so this will be from the hip. I'm pumped. Let's go.
All right, this is the first one.
I know we're going to die laughing at some of these.
All right, here we go.
So
There's no sound. What's that? Let's do it one more time.
should we, I guess, describe for the listening audience what's going on?
Well, there will be a video. That'll be good.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be able to see it.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So what is the positivity in that?
So we have a guy there, a larger gentleman, well on in years. Let's call him 70 years old. I'm just spitballing here. He made a run to try to drive the ball off the tee. He's playing a little golf, missed badly, spun all the way around in a circle, fell down. But you know what? The positive here, fellas, is he realized at this stage of my life, it's no more golf. It's time for me to take up solitaire.
Oh my God.
Nice.
That's good.
Shout out to Grandpa.
All right, this one is a dad and his daughter.
Oh my gosh.
Golly.
Goodness gracious. So a gentleman trying to jump over his, what would you say, 3-year-old daughter?
Yeah, 2-3
Hits her
year-old.
right in the face. It's a teaching moment. He took her inside and he said, "Dear, sometimes life knocks you down. You got to get right back
Let's
up.
go.
Let's watch Rocky. Let's watch Rocky."
This is so
All right,
good.
this one.
This is
This
gonna
one's
be good.
pretty fun.
Christmas party situation.
That's a bad shot. That was a bad.
What is that, like a dart gun?
Yeah, it's like a
This
Nerf
girl's
gun, yeah,
trying to
yeah.
shoot an apple off a gentleman's head with a dart gun, pops him right square in the eyes. What he's learned about this girl, whether it's his girlfriend, fiance, whatever.
I think it's his daughter.
You think that's a daughter?
I think it's his daughter.
Fair enough. I thought he looked a little younger, but now I'm thinking you're right. I think he has a bald spot there. So he's saying, you know what? We're going to go outside. We're going to practice with a gun. Had that been a real gun, my life would be over. So
Yes.
we're going to go outside. We're going to have a little bit of practice. That's the
Yes.
takeaway here.
I would also say he didn't have glasses. He probably does now from the eye injury.
Yes.
So that would
Or
be the
goggles.
positive. He
Protective
did-
goggles?
Yeah.
He's got those,
All right, we're gonna-
the snow goggles on. You know, he's just,
Yeah.
I like
we're gonna
what I'm
move
seeing
on.
on this one.
We're gonna
I like
move on
this
to the gym. Looks like this guy's
Miles
hit-
knows about this place.
Jim fails.
Yeah,
Here
it looks
we go.
like he's hitting on his girl or whatever. So here we go.
It goes down by the treadmills.
So it looked to me like in that video that he was trying to hit on this girl, slipped and fell as he was trying to help her with the treadmill. So what? How do you come back from that, man?
What he does is he stands up, he walks over, and he goes, "I hope you're a girl that likes to laugh." He said, "There'll be plenty of that with me, baby."
Yeah. Oh, we got two more.
Let's go. Oh, I love Jim fails.
Here's another one.
Doing a little deadlifting here. One looks pretty decent. Oh, no. Compound lift. Oh, he got to the top. Backward he goes.
Got into the mirror.
How on earth can you find positive out of that?
Hits his head on the mirror.
Gosh.
You know what? This guy has learned a lesson that we've been talking about today. Sometimes we all need somebody to lean on. He's going to get a spotter next time, baby. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
All right, this last one's my favorite. This is my favorite one.
Last one, best one. Extreme
This might
sport
be a little bit,
situation.
I think this might be a little bit personal.
Get on a bicycle. Oh,
my God.
face plant. Goodness
Just gonna keep. What do you think
gracious.
about that one?
The positivity that he takes away from that one? He says, "Thank the good Lord they invented helmets." Or that might have been the end of my life.
That, my
Face
friend,
down.
was Caden David.
This sounds like a story. This sounds like a story.
I was
Okay,
gonna say
so-
that one looked a little personal.
So to give some background on this,
Oh my gosh.
back in the day, this was my high school days. Me and my dad and my brother.
There's no video of this, I take it,
of what?
of your accident you're about to tell us about.
No, that was it.
That
That was
was-
me.
That was literally you.
that was literally
I did not
Caden.
know.
Yeah, that was
okay. I thought it was similar. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
This is
anyway,
so much better now.
me
Proceed.
and my dad and my brother kind of got into like riding bikes, like mountain biking, that sort of thing. And we had a big group. We would all go just cruise around and find trails and
Shredding, bro.
yeah, all over.
That's a ski thing.
So anyway,
Not bikes,
so
whatever.
we come up on this deal, we're riding these trails, and there's this jump, right? And the first time, like all three of us in a row, we're just like launching off this thing, you know. We land it perfectly, and we're like, "Dude, that was so sick." And then so I'm like, "Hey, Dad." The next time we come around, we kind of like make our way back hours later, and I'm like, "Hey, get a video of this. I'm gonna do it again, you know, so I can be all cool, you know, for my mom. You know,
Absolutely.
wanted to show her my
Your
my
mom?
skills. Yeah, for sure.
That was for your mom.
Yeah,
Oh man.
my dad wanted to send it to her. I did too, I guess. But
Shout out to Caden's mom.
Yeah, come on the show.
so anyway,
What a great job
I
you've
go
done on this
off-
young man, by the way.
I go off.
Shout out Mama David.
That's what happens. Face plant, dude. Hurt so bad. And
can't
just
believe
me,
that was you.
Me being my personality, I'm like, guess I got to do it again. So I do it
Resilient.
again. Same thing, dude. Same
Twice
thing.
in a row.
Third time, I'm like, I have to do this. There's no way I'm leaving this trail without doing this, getting on video. Third time, same thing.
Same results.
Same thing.
So was that
Bro,
the first, second, or third time?
That was the first.
Okay.
That was
Wow.
the first.
Gosh, dude.
The other ones, I don't know what happened to those, but anyway, my whole leg, dude, was just bruised, like purple. It's still like kind of weird from it in a way, but
Fall down 7 times, stand
yeah,
up
man.
8.
No
right.
bueno.
Love it. Love it.
Don't stop on
bueno.
7. You know what I mean? That's another. That's shout out to
How many kids
episode
Caden's
3.
age, though? That would have been the end of their bike riding experience. He said, no. I'll be back, baby.
I do love that perseverance.
That's incredible.
Man, that was some good stuff though. Those videos, that was fun, Miles. Thanks
Lots
for
of
doing
fun.
that. But we've kind of touched on this a little bit. But Miles, we were really wondering, so many times, like negative situations, you can easily tie a negative attitude to that. You know, when you're going through stress, you can easily tie a negative attitude to that. What are some like ways whenever you feel that negativity coming on to fight it? You've talked about you listening to music, but is there anything else you can do to see what's coming and just to react in a positive way?
Right. Well, one thing I think that's super helpful, and like I said, not to sound to anybody like I have this figured out, because I certainly don't, but if there's anybody that's going through the same journey, and you know, we're all pretty young in our lives, there's things that we deal with for the first time as we go along as 20-something-year-old dudes. And so, but one thing I think that I find helpful as well when something like that's going on, that's getting you in the dumps, and that's, I think, what your question is, a day where you're not just being negative for the sake of being negative, but there really is something that's worrying you, something that's stressing you out.
Yes.
One thing that I think has been helpful for me a few times is to reflect upon a few things in my life that I've been super stressed out before. And I remember on something that had me worried for maybe it was a few days or whatever it was. And I think had the way that it worked out. And so, man, there's been so many things that I've been stressed about that turned out to be nothing, or it turned out to be something that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, came through it, you come out on the other side. And so that's something I do try to remind myself in those situations, like whatever it is, I've been through stuff before, I've been worried before, typically it wasn't as bad as I thought. We just got to keep going, keep our head up, keep moving. So that's, I think, one, not to call it a hack, but almost a hack that I've found helpful in my own personal life. And then I think the perspective that you gain sometimes through these things is super helpful as well. If there is something going on behind the scenes of your life, once you come through on the other side, it's almost like life is so much sweeter then, because you're just like, man, I had this thing that was weighing me down. You almost don't realize how good you have it sometimes, I think, until you come out of something. You're like, man, life is good.
Yeah.
We made through it.
Yeah.
Made it through it.
I've heard a lot of leaders, they'll say that a fail is you have to fail sometimes in order to succeed. And it's through like your failure sometimes that you, like you said, you learn so much and you can come out on the other side so far ahead, because it's a fact that when you're in those stressful situations and you're in those, tight moments, that you learn a lot about not only yourself, but maybe how to handle a situation for the future, how to handle your emotions you're having. And so honestly, I think failure can be a good thing in some cases.
100%.
If you're looking for long-term.
100%. I agree with that. I'm fascinated by every aspect of business, and it's interesting how many guys that have been very, very successful in business talk about that from a business perspective. The failures that they had in the business world, if you learn from them, they can be absolutely invaluable. Obviously, if you don't learn from them, don't change your strategy up or whatever, then you're not getting anywhere. Einstein said the definition of insanity is, trying something the same way and expecting a different result. And so I think that it's interesting because I think it's the same thing in your day-to-day life, whether it's business or not. If you learn from something where you failed, whenever you come to a situation that's similar, you can remember what happened in the past. And so I think that's a great point, Caden.
Yeah.
You actually come out ahead of the game by having failed. And we all have things that happen in situations where we look back and say, epic fail, right?
Epic fail.
So I think that's a super solid point. If we learn from them, then it's actually long-term a benefit, potentially.
Love that.
That's super good.
I think the biggest thing that I took away, I'm going to wrap things up right here, is to control what you can control. That's like literally what stuck out to me. And it's in those stressful situations, those hard times, whatever you may be going through. We don't necessarily have the ability to control, the situation, like what you were talking about earlier. And what we can control is our attitude, how we react to a certain situation. And so control what you control. Do you have anything left on that?
That's fire, man. I love that. I think that's a great recap. I love it. I know that that's something that we're all working on personally. Those are things I'm working on. But yeah, I think that's a great point. Great way to recap it.
Yeah, I loved find your circle, find those friends that, like you said, don't just be open and honest with everybody. Like find those people that you can trust, that you can go to when you are having hard times, and when you're having positive times, to be there for your friends, and also find the things that make your days positive.
Yeah. Right.
Make your day positive. It's a choice. Like pick it. Find those things that help you do that.
Yeah, that's what really stuck out to me was the fight the negativity that's coming on. Know what gets you going, and attack it instead of just being a victim all the time.
Right,
and I also learned that you can name cows.
Cows, they can be named.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Love that.
Miles,
Perfect.
dude, thank you
Shout
for
out to the
coming on the
Thank you,
show,
fellas.
man.
Had a great
Shout out to the
time.
goat.
This is awesome. The studio setup, I love it. I can't believe this is your bedroom, Caden.
Yes.
You would never know it.
I know.
Thank you guys so much. Had a blast.
Let's
Love
give it up
having
for
me on.
Miles
Yes.
McKinley.
Give it up for
One
you
more
guys.
time.
Boost Podcast, baby. Subscribe.
For those of you listening, watching, that sort of thing, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and remember, figure out who you're called to be, what you're called to do, and have fun doing it. This is Miles, Curtis, Caden, and Jarrett signing out.
See ya.
Peace.